I'm at the farmer's market here at Knoxville, Tennessee on the St. Patrick's Day Parade to talk to you about acorns. Acornism is a 2 to 4 player small box game that came out in Tokyo Game Market last year and is now coming to Kickstarter. So I'm here to give you an overview about the game, what it looks like, how to play, and my thoughts on the game. Now, normally I would do an unboxing segment here, but I didn't get a box as this was a preview copy of the game. But I'm going to talk you through some of the components here. In the box came several rule books in different languages, English, Chinese, and Japanese. You have your cardboard dominoes with one half being animals that eat acorns and the other half being acorns themselves. Animals range anywhere from 5 to 10, and the acorn size range from anywhere from 0 to 4, including the magical acorn, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But the best component of the game are the wooden components that are just lovely to look at. Each of these wooden components represents one of the 4 factions in the game, if you will. You have standard leaf, pine cone, Canada, and China. Although when I do think of ginkgo leaves, I think of Japan. The adorable acorn tokens we'll talk about in just a little bit. To set up the game, you simply take all the dominoes, turn them face down, and mix them up, give each player 4 face up, and then you're going to take one random domino, place it face up in the center of the table. Give each player their leaf faction of their choice, leave the 4 acorns off to the side, and you're ready to begin. On your turn, you're going to take one of the dominoes from your hand, place it into the center, and then immediately draw a face down domino, bring your hand back up to 4. Now, when you place a domino, there are going to be 4 things that you'll have to keep in mind. Number 1, contact. Every time you place a domino, it must come into contact with a previously placed domino. You can't just place them anywhere you want. Number 2, when you place a domino, it must maintain the checkered animal acorn pattern. So no animal on animal action, no acorn on acorn action. Number 3, there is an invisible 8x8 square grid that is slowly determined throughout the course of the game. And because of the previous rules that I mentioned to you, there could be little holes that appear in the map, and those are totally fine. But once you reach the border of 8x8, you're going to use the little acorns here as a reminder of where those borders are, so all the players know where they can and can't play their dominoes. And number 4, the most important thing to remember is scoring, and that is you must maintain the mathematical placement. And we'll talk more about that in just a little minute. Now, eventually, one player, hopefully you, are going to be able to surround an animal with acorns on all sides. Once you do that, you're going to take your leaf, place it onto the animal. That animal is now fed and will score you points. How many points? Well, whatever number is there on the animal, that's how many points you get. But there's a twist, and it is my favorite part of the game. That number on the animal not only represents points, also represents the maximum and the minimum number of acorns that can be placed around it. Meaning that if the number is 5, you can't have more than 5 and you can't have fewer than 5 acorns surrounding it. So keeping that in mind, some dominoes can't just be placed willy-nilly. You have to really think, does this logically make sense? Now, as you play the game, the board will slowly get filled, and you'll begin to notice that there are only 18 animals in the center, because the animals on the outside do not get scored because they won't be completely surrounded by acorns. Therefore, only 18 animals in the center will be able to score points. To throw one more wrinkle into all the little layers of design, the magic acorn, the one with a big question mark, is any number. So you can place that down, instantly feed every single animal that you want, and score a lot of points. And because of the way the placement is, you could actually score multiple animals at the same time. Eventually you get to a point where you can't play a domino and you'll just have to pass. Once every player has passed, then the game immediately ends and you count up your score. Whoever has the most points wins the game. Now, I admit that when you look at Acornism, it's not incredibly impressive being a small box game, but because of that fun little twist and that blocking that keeps you from placing your dominoes anywhere you want, this game really melts your brain. And when I played it with my wife, the first thing she said was, "This is like Pastally. I feel my brain leaking out my ear." But unlike Pastally, this game fits in a tiny little box. Now, given the theme, this makes it perfect for picnics or hikes. I will say that Acornism is one of my favorite styles of games where the rules are actually quite simple. In this case, play a domino, draw a domino. But the fun of the game, the twist of the game, are all hidden within the layers and of the gameplay, which makes this tiny box game really fun to explore. You get to learn through the gameplay that, well, I don't want to give my opponent openings. I want to branch out. I'm now stuck and I have to make them score a 5 or a 10. Where do I make that trade-off? I really have to pay attention to what my opponent is doing, what's in their hand, what they can score, what they can't score. The leaves on top of the animals add such a fun little sprinkle of pizzazz to the game board. And having the acorns on the north, south, east, west side of the map makes it very, very intuitive and clean to understand where the borders are. I really, really love small box games with a fun, interesting twist, and Acornism really delivers this in Acorns. If you're interested in this game, it is live on Kickstarter right now. I'll put a link down below so you can check out the page and make that decision for yourself. Now, as a reward for those of you who stuck around to the end of the video, as you know, I lived in Taiwan for over 18 years. I finally moved back to the States to work for Bezier Games, and now I'm gonna watch my first St. Patrick's Day parade in over 18 years. So as the credits roll, enjoy the parade.